What's going on, guys? Connor here. Today we're going to be working on some cars to help some people out in the community, but it's pouring rain. This is an event my church planned. It's kind of cool. We did this last Saturday. Today's also Saturday, and anything we couldn't get done last week, we deferred to this week, but we had no idea it would be raining. I don't know. Unfortunately, fortunately, we're still going to be working on the cars today. Is that a good idea? Probably not. Just loading my equipment into my car and stuff, I have a little bit of a chill. So I can't imagine working in the rain all day. I just don't want anybody who's working on the cars to get sick. I got about a half-hour drive. Gonna be hanging out with the boys and getting some car work done.
Better.
Oh, nice, look.
Yeah, those.
That's so uncommon for that to just come out.
I have a. Okay. I was gonna say awesome. I have a little impact, but
Extremely uncommon for those screws to just kind of come out. Let me show you something. So on pretty much every car, there's 4 bolts for the calipers. So not these 4, but there's the 2 that hold on the brake pads themselves. You always want to break these little ones loose first. And then there's 2 big ones that hold this bracket onto the rotor itself, which are these big ones. And there's 2 of them. I'm gonna set y'all up right here so you can see. There's normally 2 of them. There's always 2 of them. What am I talking about? Those look really good. Okay. That's covered in grease and stuff. Too bad I didn't bring a pair of gloves. We got brake pad number 1, brake pad number 2. The brake pads look like they have plenty of life in them, which is great. Yeah, there should be 2 more. Oh man, that's nasty. Why would they design it that way? Oh, that's horrible. So look at this. To get to the back one, you have to remove the stabilizer bar, the upper control bar. That's horrible, man. That's a silly design.
Typically, when you're doing a brake job, there are only 4 bolts that need to be moved to remove the caliper and the caliper bracket. In this case, there was an upper control arm that was preventing that. We tried to work around it and we got to the very end, but ultimately we ended up needing to take it off, so that's what we did.
So, with that finally removed, we can remove this upper bracket. Now, normally on a normal car, there's not this awful design, and this control arm is not impeding, so it's just 1, 2, 3, 4. Remove the bracket. You might have to unscrew some rotor screws. Hopefully they're not in there because those are normally a pain. Then you just pull the rotor off. Now this is what's giving him problems, is his emergency brake. I think you remove it with that push tab right there. And we got a set of new hardware to replace all of these little components with.
well, it would say the carrier bearing. It's saying that.
There we go. Yep, there's one side. Again, having never done this before, I'm not sure exactly the right process. I see what's going on here, but I'm not sure the right way or the wrong way or whatever way. There's another tab right down in here that I gotta push in and twist. Just don't want it to shoot out at me. I think that's good. Yep. There you go. Well, that's one way to do it. There's springs attached across the top. You're supposed to remove those, then remove these little metal tabs. That way it comes off in one piece. This mechanism here is connected to the front actual emergency brake. This is where it goes out. And then this is what, I assume, when you pull it, expands out and gets the brake to lock in. So I'm gonna wait for the penetrating fluid to get back here before I continue working on these brakes anymore, or this brake set. There's so many little hardware pieces. I've actually never done an emergency brake before. So I've done brakes and rotors a lot, but never an emergency brake. So I'm gonna clean this area up once the stuff gets here. Hey, Jan.
What's going on?
While I was waiting, I decided to check on everyone else and see what they were up to.
Jan's already put on the new rotor and brakes. That's pretty quick, man.
Yeah, these are like so easy to work on.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's crazy. Where'd it get out of this?
Both sides?
This is gonna make me consider getting a shift.
How do you put the rotor screws back in?
Oh, because they're Torx. So it's
Okay.
like they're actually easy to take out. It's not like that dumb thing we worked on when it was a Phillips. They just round
So
out.
mine had Phillips, but they came out. Someone had
That's
greased
nice.
them.
That's
So
very
nice.
good. Yeah, I asked, I forget her name, Christy, I think, to get a tube of grease.
She's gonna grab some grease.
Am I supposed to be saying something?
No.
Oh, okay.
Is it okay? Can I
You do the cross pattern.
All right.
Yeah. All right. So that's gonna help get rid of all of the junk inside of the wheel. Help it come right off. So when we put the new equipment in, how much better that looks already. It's not all gunky and chunky and nasty. Mind if I record what you're doing real quick?
Sure.
You want to explain it?
We have here a couple of failures. So
Yep.
we had a leaky valve cover, which we didn't see any leakage at all except old oil, so we wiped it down so that the young lady can come back or let us know
If there's
next
any
year
new
if there's any issues
leaks.
or not.
Yep.
It had a rear drive shaft stabilizer bushing, I think it's called.
Did you guys replace it?
No,
Okay.
it didn't. I didn't feel much play to it.
Yep.
Rear brakes are low, but they're good for another year.
Yep.
So I think she's going to be good on this.
Yeah, they also identified something with the sway bar, but when we took a look at it, it looked like it was something more related to a clamp instead.
Got it.
So that's pretty much it. This is not going to be a major cause. We're just trying to figure out what the power steering fluids, because different cars have different fluids they use. It can be monotonous trying to figure out which is which.
Yeah, and of course they say use only Honda Genuine. Then of course
So what
we
is?
don't know how much that is.
what
like
does that
genuine
mean?
versus
Right.
marketing.
It just means .3, right?
Thanks.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's good.
Yep. Cool. Everything's pretty much dried up now, so I'm gonna blast it with some WD-40. Just a second. What?
That little flashlight of yours by any chance?
Yes, I do.
Can I borrow it?
Of course. So normally you don't want to lubricate your brakes, but this assembly I want working smoothly. So just this top piece. There we go. So these were the old clamps, basically holding the brakes on. Now we have new ones. They actually go behind this heat shield, or oh, there they go. So you see this little hole here? This is going to basically pop out through it. You want the bottom of the shoe with this little mark, this little cutout here, to be on the bottom. The top does not have that. As you can see, now we're taking this little tab, which goes here. This is scary, but I'm going to try preloading it under that tab. That way, I can just push it in and lock everything together. There we go. Now, yeah, nice. Now this is how this side looks. We got it seated at the top here, this piece. There's a little gap, and we got that piece locked in. So the easiest way is to actually pre-compress it. That makes it easy. So we take this, we go through this hole here, like this, and we pre-compress this down, which is kind of hard to do with just my raw hands. Just like that. So now when we line this up with the top, there we go. That can go in just like that. Right here.
I like to do is suck out
Rotate it.
my bottle. There you go.
And release the tension. There we go. Alright, so both brake shoes now have good tension in them. Now it's putting all of these tiny little springs back together, which is going to take a minute. So this little spring here hooks in around a circle, and then it's got a T-bracket on the actual frame that it goes into. Yeah, that's better. See that little T-bracket? It just loops around that. Next we gotta install the adjuster piece. So to put the adjuster in, it's just fitting it against the bottom of the brake shoes. It's just a friction fit, it's not very tight, but there's two slots and the adjuster go in between the brake shoes. This thing right here. Next is this spring. It goes from triangle to triangle on either side. This next part is a little tricky. It's the actual thick spring goes from the top.
This top spring is an absolute pain in the butt. I ended up reusing the old one because it was slightly thinner and easier to work with, but the easiest way to do it is to connect it to one of the slots in the top first, pull it all the way over if you can, and then force it down into the other slot.
That's pretty bad. Nice. Oh, and a brand new toothpick too. I'm slowly getting soaked. Everything here is kind of getting soaked. But hey, brakes are back on. I think there's like one other component. I think you just use like a flathead screwdriver or something to rotate that. But we're gonna adjust this out. You know, I can just do it from here though. The whole point of adjusting this is to get it to fit the rotor it's on properly.
I greased the back where the rotor connects to. That's that white stuff that you see. I was able to adjust it out, and now we're putting everything back together.
Working in the rain, rotor got a little wet, so I gotta dry that off. With that grease on, this should be able to slide over. And if I made the shoe too tight, it won't, which I did. But that's why we test it. So I can adjust it down a few clicks, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's much closer to the original size. Still not quite there, it's close. Man, that is close. Alright, so we're chilling. I have some bias against these because I've had to drill them so many times. If you grease these, then theoretically they should not rust and get stuck in there. Tight, loosen, tight, loosen. That way for the next mechanic or whoever decides to work on the car next, they don't have to deal with this pain of trying to drill and tap those out. All right, so I think the next step is to go ahead and release that control arm back up to, oh no, I gotta put the bracket back on. It goes back on the same way it came off, and if you have access to grease, grease everything. I don't want this to be too hard for the next person to get off, so I'm just gonna put a little bit of grease on the edge. And in the same way you grease metal parts touching, because that has a little bit of rust on the end of it, I'm just gonna put a little bit of grease on that so that it doesn't seize up for the next person trying to get this out either. If you work on your own car, you always want to make it easier for yourself next time if you plan on keeping the car. And grease is a big component of making things easier for the next time. So always grease your bolts if you're able to. A little bit of grease. There we go. For this Sonata, everything's a 12 millimeter, which kind of is nice. Or which is kind of nice. Brake pad's going pretty easy, I'll show you.
I hope it gets even wetter.
You hope it gets even wetter?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, me too.
Before I show you, I gotta put the control arm back because of the stupid design.
There we go. Perfect. I kind of want to show you how satisfying this is. So, Hyundai, if you have to do the emergency brake or even a brake rotor change, you gotta remove the upper control arm. Horrible, horrible design. Brakes are so satisfying because they literally just slide into the groove. So I'll do the back side, and then I'll do the side that you can see after I wipe this off. This is the back side. Incredibly satisfying. You take the pad, stick them in the slot, and you literally just slide it on. Just slide into place. And then this piece goes back over and clamps these down. Same thing as before. 2 more bolts, put it back on. Alright, mine's all done. Let me go check on everybody else. This is done. Pretty focused. How's it going? Oh. The rain's picking up. I think that's the last car we have. This one's good to go. Just gonna go do the test, make sure everything works, and I think we're gonna wrap it up. Still going at it. Jan's under his car. Brian checking all the oil.
I do not know him.
You don't
That
know
would
what?
be John.
John.
Actually, that looks. Check it out.
Connor.
Got it.
That's Connor too. Not two literally, but also.
Enjoying the Swedish engineering down there?
Oh yeah, a lot of JB Weld. Yeah, my name is Sven.
So this is one of the cords they just got done fixing. It had no power last week, so we're gonna test it real quick just to see if it's got more, but still not much. Yeah, it's definitely an improvement, but it's not fast at all. It's all empty. We're all done. I brought a change of clothes because I got absolutely soaked. But we're done. We finished up. We got every car that came there taken care of. I made a little bit of a mistake with the one I was on. We had a miscommunication due to a language barrier, and I might be following up with him afterwards and finishing some more work on his car. But we'll see. But yeah, that was fun. I'm gonna go eat some chicken. So, see?